All right, second week in a row of the editor's commentary. It's actually did pretty well last week. Got more listens than the podcast, so we're going to keep it going. It's not going to be just me this time. Joined by Jim. Jim, you're back from vacation. Hello.
I am back. Hello.
All right, we're going to go through this. You got screen in front of you. We are advancing the technology, and I have 6 tabs open from each page of the site, so we don't have to click around. We're going to see if we can keep this under 30 minutes this time, but since it's 2 of us, 30 minutes might not actually be so bad. So let's kick it off. Monday morning roundup. We'll go through this quickly. There's Tom McCarthy looks like an asshole, and so does Jamie Moyer, come to think of it. A lot of Taney stuff. We're not going to talk about it because people are just going to get pissed, but you could talk about the parade when we get there.
Sure.
Lil Wayne, I like Lil Wayne. Apparently he bashed Philly like last Saturday night because there was nothing to do here. I asked you, Jim. I think I wrote the remix to Lollipop, easily a top 5 all-time song.
Mm-hmm.
Concur?
You know what? I'm not even I am not the person to ask about anything hip hop. I am way too white. I don't and my friends are always trying to talk about other things. I'm like, it's all lost on me. It's wasting your time and energy to even try it.
To me, that song, the final verse, which I may have put in the comments here, about licking the rapper, is one of the most brilliant things a human has ever written. I think that got a little pushback in the comments, though. Scrolling down, lots of Taney. Oh, here we go. Okay, Taylor Swift picture. How do you feel about this outfit?
Well, I mean, I think it kind of looks like she's wearing some drapes. The pattern is very strange. When I was watching this show, I was watching with some people, and they were interviewing her. It was like from the waist up, and I was like, "That's a strange choice. Doesn't even look like an article of clothing." But And then they panned out, and I saw that it was like a onesie.
And then the magic happened.
The magic happened for you. I think it still looks very weird. It looks like a baby wearing a diaper and a t-shirt. Like you need to have some pants involved. You're gonna be long sleeving up top.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, no one wants to see a baby in a t-shirt and a diaper, but that same general area of skin covering on Taylor Swift works for me. I think I wrote, "Oh no," because you're right, it's hideous. But the more I see this picture, and the more red carpet pictures that are just kind of floating around the internet, that is it's borderline breathtaking from the waist down. I'm just
I mean, she's a long, tall woman. She's got that going for her. I think it's just the long sleeves up top is what throws me off.
Yeah, my eyes haven't made it that far yet. Did you see this Eric LeGrand tweet where I believe this is the actual image of the moment he broke his neck. And he writes, Beyonce got everyone like this when she performs Drunk in Love. I guess we can make that joke if you're the person who had his neck broken, right?
If he makes it, then I think it's fair game for everyone to make it.
Yeah, I don't. It's like, I mean, I hate to even go to this extreme, but it's sort of like a family member of someone from 9/11 cracking a 9/11 joke. Like, oh, okay, if you can do that, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, in their personal company, sure. I still wouldn't make jokes to him about it personally. Me,
no.
If I knew him, I'd be like, all right, fair game now.
I like the sense. I like the fact that that's a good tweet. I mean, it's a good tweet.
It's a great tweet.
He's okay with it. It's a good tweet. Donald Trump is an asshole. It doesn't really matter. Richard Sherman thinks okay. All right, let's move on from the Monday morning roundup. Taney, we're just going to skip this because no one wants to talk about them anymore apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm starting to include myself in that. Okay, this is one, and we could also lump in the Cole Hamels complaints about Sandberg. It seems like I don't know if Ryan Sandberg is a great manager or a terrible manager. We're never going to know with this team.
Yeah.
But he has pissed off virtually every player this year. And here was Don Brown and David Buchanan complaining about Don Brown saying he made this absurd throwing error here because he doesn't get enough playing time, basically. And then David Buchanan, who I had to Google him just to figure out when he got called up because the Phillies are so on the periphery. And I can't tell you I've seen him throw more than an inning this year.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's being complaining about taking out early, and then you wrote, what did you write later in the week? Someone else was unhappy.
It was Hamels. Hamels got salty, in a real passive aggressive way.
It's vintage Cole.
Yeah, he got himself into a jam, thought he could get out of it. Sandberg disagreed, and it was only 84 pitches, and it was a tie game. And then Sandberg was coming out to take him out, and he walked off the mound before Sandberg got to do the typical, like, you go up, say a few words, take the ball, and then the pitcher leaves. Cole walked off a little early.
See, I feel like when that used to happen when Charlie was here, like, Doc, you could see the fire in Doc's eyes, and even Cole too, but Cole's always so passive aggressive. But back then it was kind of like, okay, after the game, they're just going to kind of go yuck it up with Charlie, and it's like a father-son relationship. Here it's more of like a I hate that guy relationship.
Yeah, and even then, like, you'd say, it'd be like, oh, were you happy being taken out? And it would be like the generic canned response of like, you're never happy being taken out because you want to go out there and you want to win and you want to help the team in the best way you can. And like, you always think you're the best guy to do that. But this was just like, I don't agree with the manager.
Here it's like, yeah, we've all decided that we hate Sandberg.
Yeah, but like the point you made, like, who can even really know? Because this whole season is just a comedy of errors. And that can't be put on any one person more than it can anyone else. It's like a 1,000 different reasons why things are going so poorly for the players on the field and the people who are actually playing the game.
Right, and so many of these guys are used to Charlie's style. I mean, the veterans, Sandberg trying to micromanage the veterans, it's never going to work. And I'm guessing a lot of the young guys are picking up on, these guys are setting an example. And, here's Cole Hamels and Jimmy Rollins and Ryan Howard acting all petulant towards Sandberg, rightfully or wrongfully. So, maybe David Buchanan was feeling himself a little, him and his 1.32 whip or whatever it was were feeling themselves and decided to complain about it. Let's move on here. What is this? Nate Silver's 538 predicts fewer wins for the Eagles. Okay, you wrote this. I thought this was interesting because everyone loves Nate Silver because he predicted an election once, and I'm guessing doesn't seem like it's that hard to do. Like for any election, I feel like there's only probably like 5 states where it's really in jeopardy.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, so if we want to use math here, his odds were maybe like, I don't know what the odds of guessing 5 of 5 are times 2. I mean, maybe like a 12% chance. I don't know. I don't know math, but it just seems like he is like over respected. And I like his site. I like what they're trying to do, but they relied on this thing called the plexiglass principle.
Sure.
Which, great name.
Yeah.
And it basically says that after a team has a huge swing from a poor year to a good one, that they usually come back down to earth and regress the following year, which makes sense. And using that principle, the Eagles will not be as successful this year as they were last year. But at the same time, it throws out all of the other factors, as in the new coach, the players, the division. There are so many other factors. You can't just rely on a trend. It's like saying, this team historically over the last 12 years is 8-13 when playing at night. Well, it's like, okay, but this particular team is different than all of those other teams.
Exactly. The only thing they share is team name. Right. But I mean, the whole plexiglass principle thing, while it is named very well, is just, it's basically common sense too when you think about sports in general, especially football, when the season relative to others is so short, where you can go on these runs and you can have, Nick Foles kind of came out of nowhere for a lot of, defending teams. They didn't see that coming out of him. So now they're more prepared for him. And everyone's a year older. Yeah. So common sense tells you that if they went from a bad team to a good team, odds are they won't be as good this year. They could be just as good. They could be better. But the odds say that they won't be.
Right. Yeah, no. And I totally get that. And that's the way someone, especially someone who's made a career, predicting politics, it's all based on that stuff. But
yeah.
I feel like, and maybe I'm just being a homer here, and someone called out that I was happily trumpeting his thing when they said Villanova was going to go to the Final Four. So touche. But I feel like it's not just the league couldn't catch up with Chip last year. I mean, Chip, it's not just a particular offense. Everything he's doing is different, and the rest of the league is trying to mimic his question everything philosophy and not do things for the sake of doing them, just do things because they make sense.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is a different situation, and I know that's because I'm an Eagles fan, but I do. I think Chip is different than other gimmicky coaches. He has a completely different outlook. Let's move on to the next page here. This is these Mark Sanchez trade rumors are already gone. And this is the thing. Doing this at the end of the week, sometime we're gonna touch on stuff that already happened. But to me, it just didn't make any sense. The Eagles bring in a guy, and he is, by all accounts, doing everything you wanted and more throughout training camp. And then because a quarterback goes down somewhere and someone mentions his name, that all of a sudden there's trade speculation, and that
Yeah.
it went away in like 48 hours, and rightfully
Exactly,
so. Site brought to you by Sugar House Casino. Win a sit down with Roy Halladay. I thought you did a good job with this post. Why don't you explain the deal real quick? Because this is an ad, but it's actually a pretty cool deal. And these guys do this quite often right now. They got Halladay, so explain it.
Yeah, I mean, you can go to their website and enter now through the links on the post to enter the drawing to sit down and have lunch with Roy Halladay, which I think I was saying in the post is like an amazing thing because there's so many different things that are great about Roy Halladay. There's, the angle of, he's a baseball veteran. He was a great player. He's a student of the game who has so much knowledge about the game, but he's also in his post-baseball career emerged as kind of like this goofy online presence who is real fan friendly and all that kind of stuff. So personally, I think it would just be an amazing sit down. He'd be at the top of the list of like, players I would want to sit down and have a conversation with. So I think it's just a really cool thing. And the other things, fantasy football challenge, you get some money by entering, picking a team and win at the end of each week, and you pick a new team every week and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, good stuff all around. You could sign up for the Halladay thing through September 22nd. The event's on the 28th, and it's a big lunch. Like, it's not just one table. You get to meet Halladay, you get your picture taken with him, but I'm guessing that it's more than 8 people. I've seen pictures from old ones they've done. It might be 50 people or whatever, and he makes his way around and talks to people. So, but it's still cool. You're getting to meet and hear and do a Q&A with Doc, and for free, by the way.
Yeah.
And you can just enter. It's real easy to enter, and you can do it every day, I believe.
Yeah.
Scrolling up, Chip Kelly doesn't want to run a million plays. He just wants points. This is sort of what we were talking about before. But it was basically Chip saying that for him, it's not about running as many plays. It's just whatever is the most efficient way to score. I don't know if there's really even anything to add. I think people just misunderstand that Chip has an up-tempo offense for the sake of having an up-tempo offense, which to him, it's just, no, you run the plays that are going to get you to score, and it just happens that doing it quickly for him is the best way to go about it.
Yeah, the total goal isn't tire out the defense, it's score on the defense. And if tiring out the defense happens because you're moving offensive fast, then that's great.
Right, yeah, it's a chicken or the egg thing. Go quick and tire them out, and you're able to score and go faster. Mm-hmm. Hextall's son signed. It's nothing to really talk about there. All right, the Comcast thing. Yeah, I wrote a post, you wrote a post. We can kind of touch on this quickly. I love how Comcast just comes out in defense of their proposed merger with Time Warner, which would give them, here's the thing, it would give them a presence in every single major market in the country, which means that, and assuming that as of right now, net neutrality is kind of no longer a thing. So cable companies, broadband providers are free to throttle internet, charge more for specific sites or services like Netflix, charge users. You pretty much do whatever they want. And for the most part, that hasn't come to fruition yet. And Comcast is on, as a result of their NBC merger, a court-imposed 5-year ban on circumventing net neutrality. So they can't do any of this until 2018, which is only a few years away. The argument is, if they merge with Time Warner, they'll have a presence everywhere, and that means that when they do these content deals, they're going to have 30% of cable households, whatever's left of them by then, 30% of broadband households. And if you are a major content provider like Netflix or whomever else comes in the future, or even the little guy, you're gonna want your stuff going through Comcast pipe, and they can charge you and customers whatever, which means they have more leverage than anyone, because they're the only one that could reach that many people. And not only do they have more leverage, they also own a ton of content between all of the NBC properties, and there are many networks that you don't have NBC in the name that are owned by that company, or affiliated with them in some way. Even Hulu is partly owned by NBC and Fox and a couple of other networks. So it's going to give them the ability to position their content first, and all of a sudden, the openness of the internet and even streaming video, it can be dangerously in the hands of Comcast, and that includes YouTube, on which this John Oliver clip is posted. Anyway, explain sort of the problem with David Cohen's defense of this, his main point, and explain the problem with it.
Well, I mean, going back to what you were saying, first of all, I don't think that NBC Universal Comcast deal should have ever been approved to begin with. So we wouldn't be in this scenario right now if that one didn't already happen. And if that went through, which it did, I don't see them ever stopping this, which sucks. But I mean, his argument was basically, hey, this isn't that bad. Look at all these people who think it's good. And these are all people they've given money to.
Yeah, I mean,
of course they're going to say it's good because they're politicians, and politicians having successful careers is based on having campaign contributions and being able to keep their job and keep being reelected. And if you're giving them the campaign contributions, they're not going to shit talk you or stop you from expanding your business if that's what you want to do. They're not going to stand in your way.
Right, and the first people he cites here are Tom Corbett and Nutter are among the first people. Mm-hmm. And it's like Comcast essentially owns Philadelphia and the eastern half of Pennsylvania. Of course, and of course he's donated to their campaigns in the past, and it's very easy to find examples. So there, he writes this long letter defending the merger and all these reasons. He touches on net neutrality and explains that, well, if the internet has to be free and open for consumers, it needs to be free and open for companies to fuck those consumers, which is great logic, I guess.
I mean, it's business logic.
It is, but I mean, it literally is doublespeak going against what the whole point of net neutrality, which is to not let businesses influence the internet in such a crazy way. Anyway, Comcast donates to these people, and of course they all came out in support. And then you wrote an article later that even the charitable groups in this that came out in support, of course, get grants from Comcast, and they said as much. Like, yeah, well, they give us money, so
I think that's definitely less harmful than the politicians, because no matter if Comcast is donating this money to buy their support or not, the money's still going to good things. You're going into the Boys and Girls Club or whatever, and the Boys and Girls Club can't be expected to be like, they give us a lot of money, we do a lot of great things with that money, but fuck those dudes.
Right? Yeah. I mean, they're just looking out for themselves.
And they were all up front. From what I understood, like, they wrote all those letters in support, and that's what the post was about. And I didn't read the full text of much of those letters, but I believe it was Business Journal that I was citing the report. They said that a lot of them were basically saying, not like, hey, this is a great merger because it would be great for the consumer. They're saying, hey, this is a great merger because Comcast is really great to us as a nonprofit. So if they have a wider reach, they can be nicer to more nonprofits. It was like almost on the non-business side of it.
Yeah.
Which is, a good way to like shake their hands and clean it off and say like, hey, we just like them as human beings, not as a business.
Yeah, but then they turned around and put it in a letter saying, well, all these people defend us buying Time Warner and taking over the world, and it's not really the case, and not really thinking that people would actually check on that. Taney Parade, we'll get to that in a little bit. What else we got here? All right, Madden 15. Have you gotten a PS4 yet?
I have not. I still have the PS3, and I have not gotten the new Madden.
Okay, you should get both of those things. It's really good, and I wrote here, and I played a lot more since then. There's a couple 3 a.m. nights, which might explain some of the late mornings this week, but it's actually really, really good. They changed the gameplay. It's faster. It feels more arcadey, and that's not a knock against it. It's every bit as hard, every bit as strategic, but when you're controlling the players and making the plays, the buttons are more responsive. You feel like you have more control, and it's not, if I didn't call the right play, it's a sort of a random series of events that's going to happen, and I don't have much control of it. You can make things happen with your thumbs, and also the strategy goes into it, and they complement each other, because there's the new defensive system where, and I think this is great, because defense, the before the play adjustments were always great, but you couldn't, there wasn't much you could do afterwards. Either take control of a back and try and intercept it, or take control of a lineman. Now you can take control, obviously, of any player, but there's almost a separate mode where you have to time your engaging with the offensive lineman and press X or square to get around him, and it's all based on timing, and you feel like you're actually playing a game within a game when you're doing that, and have some sort of control that, again, is not like just random based on whatever player you're using's ability or the play that you call.
Let me ask you this. My biggest complaint with the last one, with Madden 25, which a lot of people didn't like, but I didn't dislike, But my biggest complaint was when you're playing on the offense, anytime you threw a pass, it was anywhere between those hash marks or over the head of any defensive player, no matter how fat or slow they were, they jumped up and intercepted it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't play, to be honest, as much of Madden 25 as I had previous years because I was so disheartened. I didn't get it on the new system. I got it on the old one, and I was like, wow, okay, this is pretty much the same game. But I know the exact problem because this always happened to me. I don't know to what degree it's still there as in old games, but using the D-pad now, you can zoom in up and down. You can pull your camera all the way out, almost to a blimp view. More of a top of the stadium view, drone view, we'll call it. Or all the way into right behind your quarterback. And on defense, you can even flip over to the defensive side. To me, zooming out, being able to easily zoom out on a passing play, or especially a play where you know you got a cross route going and you really need to see, that high above camera angle, to me, makes passing so much more, I want to say easy, but rewarding and controllable. Yeah. Because you see things, and it makes sense, but in old games, everyone uses default camera. Now the fact that you can zoom out and zoom in, like for running plays, you want to be zoomed in because it's easier to see the hole. You feel like you're part of the action. But if you're running a passing play where you know you're going to have to thread the ball a little bit or you're just not confident in yourself, if you zoom out, you see so much more of the lanes, and you see that stuff before it happens.
Well, that's good.
That low camera doesn't really do justice. If there's a guy cutting over the middle, it sort of hides the linebacker behind the line, and if you're throwing into the flats, you might not be able to see the guy who's playing down low in a cover two. With the high camera, you could see all that, and it makes passing much more rewarding because I found myself starting to make plays that I never would have made with a low camera because you can get up and see, okay, I can actually throw the ball over that defender because he's 7 yards behind him, whereas down low, it looks like that guy's in the middle of your lane, but he's really not.
Yeah, exactly. That's good then.
Yeah, I mean, I would recommend that if you're having that problem, and I think it's a nice addition. I stick with the 8.9 rating.
I'd probably still throw about 10 picks a game, but that's good to know.
Yeah. I mean, it takes a little while, but I've been using a lot of the on-the-fly offensive line adjustments to go max protect. If I know I don't need my tight end or running back in a route, I'll go max protect and just use my 2 or 3 wide receivers. Sure. That helps too because you don't feel like you're about to get sacked, and it gives you a little more time to make the pass that you were going to make anyway.
That's good.
Next page. Sam Hinkie reportedly turned down an expiring contract in the Thad Young deal. Let's just talk real quick about the Sixers. There's a few Sixers posts related to the Young Bennett trade this week. He came out and said, I think you wrote them all, so I'll let you explain it. But basically, Bennett was never in the plans.
Yeah, which I believe it. Then the question comes like, where did the story come from? Which who knows? We had over a month to talk about this because they signed Wiggins and they can't trade him within a month. So it was just being talked about constantly, and it was constantly changing. Because in the beginning, it was we wanted Dion Waiters, and then it was we weren't part of the deal at all, and it kept changing. But Hinkie basically came out and said that Bennett was never something he wanted and was never even discussed. Dion Waiters was never something he wanted, was never even discussed. And this report, which he did not, I don't know if he refuted it or not. I don't think he actually even mentioned it because it's a minor thing. But that they were offered J.J. Barea to basically so the Timberwolves can dump his contract, and Hinkie wanted no part of it, which I think is interesting because everything Hinkie's done so far has been so behind the scenes that we haven't really heard of him turning something down or like modifying a deal that was presented to him. Yeah. And it just seems like it's all very secretive and like who knows what he's doing back there, and it's he's making like these sometimes confusing moves. So I thought it was really interesting to see. It kind of gives you more insight into his process a little bit, I think. And I thought it was,
right, which is really at this point to not have a process at all and just give yourself the ultimate flexibility that you can have and stockpile some second rounders. And
exactly. I was excited. And he said,
go ahead.
He said in the conference call he did with a bunch of reporters that he's not worried about the salary cap floor at all. He doesn't care. Because all that really does is if you're 10 million under that floor, it takes that 10 million and it disperses it amongst your team. So your players just get a little bit more money. So basically, if you look at it that way, if they're under that cap floor when the deadline approaches for being above that cap floor, then the Sixers players are basically getting like a little bonus money for like, hey, here's some extra cash since we're tanking again. go buy yourself something nice.
And it doesn't matter to the team because you're still paying that base amount anyway.
Yeah, they're getting literally bonus money and then probably also getting a few more minutes of playing time too because there's no one else coming on.
Yeah, I was excited about the Bennett thing because it was the first move, where you felt like, okay, this is actually a guy they could get and not throw away. I think Bennett's going to be a gigantic bust.
Yeah.
But who knows? He was a first-round pick. He was injured in college. He struggled last year. He was out of shape. And by all accounts, he's back in shape. He's healthy now. And he's looking more like the athlete that he was drafted to be. So having a guy like that would have been huge, but apparently he was never part of the deal, and that sucks because there's nothing interesting until we get to the lighting thing in a little bit.
I do like Alexei Shved as a player. He's just like another tall guard that we don't really need.
He's kind of a goofball, right?
A little bit. I mean, but he had a really good rookie year, and then his minutes dropped off, so it wasn't so great. But yeah, I mean, it'll be someone good to have on the floor when, your second squad's in, you're looking around going like, why do I care about any of these people? And they have some great names in that team now, so you got to appreciate that too.
Yeah, they really do. You give them credit. What do you keep calling them, the all-name team?
The all-name team, yeah. And that's why I was a little bit bummed. Well, I guess not bummed because Hashim Thabit is a terrible basketball player. But that would have just put him over the top.
Yeah, he was a monster at UConn too, and
then an absolute bust.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Moving on, the Robin Williams thing. This is kind of an interesting story. I get a call the day after Robin Williams dies, or maybe a couple days, and someone my mom works with has randomly a CDR of a bootleg Robin Williams comedy concert from the Tower Theater. And it just happened to be the night after the Phillies won the World Series. And, I was expecting it to just be like total crap. And I get these 2 CDs and they're listenable. Whoever did it, and this is an older gentleman, already had the tracks done by each of Robin Williams' bit. So the very first track is Robin Williams Phillies track 1. I was laid out great. Anyway, it was a lot better than I expected. And you can actually hear what he was saying. And, I don't know, I thought this was really cool because this sort of captured the city. Like that week the Phillies won the World Series, and even the weeks after. It was, in hindsight, it was so surreal. At the time, everyone's caught up in the excitement, but that was like the word. I don't want to use the word magical because that's kind of weird, but it was sort of like a magical week.
Yeah.
And this is 22 hours after the Phillies won the World Series. You have this legendary comic standing up there and telling jokes and admitting that he doesn't know anything about baseball and still getting almost 10 minutes out of what happened, seemingly riffing on it and improvising. Did you like it? Did you think it was good?
I did, yeah. I thought it was great. I mean, it just shows you like he had less than a day to prepare it, if he prepared it at all, without just walking out and just riffing on it. He admits he knows nothing about baseball, is still able to make it funny. You got to appreciate the crowd still booing the hell out of him when he mentions the Red Sox.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just, it shows how on his feet he always was,
I'm going to do a quick play of the Fanatic portion because I thought that was really, really good here. Let me see if I can find it.
Can't find a place to park a Range Rover. All night, but all of a sudden, woo! It's my year, fuck yeah!
Where is it?
Are you guys okay? Are you lost? Are you okay? The deaf people, welcome to comedy.
Wow, all sorts of noises going on here. One more try. All right, never mind. We're just gonna let that go.
All right.
He yells a lot when he does when he's on stage, which
he's fired up. Yeah.
This is the Danny Watkins thing. To no one's surprise, he's retired, and to no one's surprise, he is now a firefighter in Dallas. We'll get to him in a second when we get to the pictures of him fighting fires, a 4-alarm fire as a member of the Eagles. Lingerie Football League Brawl. Just going to play this here, at least part of it. A lot of pussy ass bitch in this, which is a phrase I didn't think women used. I thought that was totally a guy thing. So credit to these quotes, put this in quote, girls for using pussy ass bitch in a non-ironic context. Did you watch this? Have you ever watched a lingerie football league game? Because they none of that, like, the whole point is for them to be hot and attractive, and none of them are good looking at all. They all look like men.
Well, you got to have a trade off. If you want the best looking people, you're not going to have the best people playing the sport. And if you're going to be wearing pads and helmets anyway, I guess you just want to go for the best ones in the sport.
Yeah, and it's a good point. I was going to present the lingerie volleyball league, but they're actually playing in less than what these girls are wearing. Have you ever seen the beach volleyball outfits?
Yeah, when you watch the Olympics, I mean, they're wearing, it's like the least clothes you can be allowed to wear in public.
And it's like how can we taper the lines of this particular bikini to cover in a safe way with a person jumping around and diving the bare minimum? And it's amazing to me that those things stay on. It really is.
They're moving around a lot.
They're moving around. It's amazing that they stay on. The glue. It's got to be glue because they're not bikinis. I mean those things.
They're more like the the compression shorts and stuff like that. I think they're more like that, aren't they?
Well, yeah, but then the beach volleyball ones are basically compression shorts cut into like the skimpiest bikini you can have.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. It was a borderline life-changing moment for me when Kerry Walsh and Misty May Trainor won in the rain in the 2008 Olympics. Mm-hmm. That may have been one of the greatest hours of network television ever. Okay, so here's the Chip do something unconventional today, which, by the way, he did. I didn't know. He did, and probably today as well. But they made this point at the end. This is a defensive coordinator around the league said, I think he doesn't give a shit what other people thinks, and he has his beliefs, and he's outside the box, and he's true to himself. And I wrote, I think people are so desirous to paint Chip as a guy who is intentionally being different and intentionally being quirky and outside the box and trying new things. And I think they got it all wrong. Almost like a good designer. He is just trying to do what works and stripping out all of the shit that doesn't work or all of the things that have just always been done this way. And he said this. He's like, all I do is ask why. Why do we practice this way? Well, because this is the way they did it in the 1950s where, no one knew about concussions and injuries and all that stuff. So I don't think he's being progressive for progressive's sake. He is just being a pragmatist. Why do we do this? I'm not going to do it because the last coach did it or because these guys beforehand did it this way. And I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? Because I think this works in every business. It's like you don't just do things the way they were always done. You just do what makes sense. And then if people think that's different and progressive, then that's on them. But I think people just misrepresent what Kelly's actual goal is, which is to do what works and makes sense.
Yeah, when it comes to football coaches, the ones that do whatever they want and don't care about what people think of them or how they look are the successful ones.
Right. And it's not and again, that extends to a lot of things, not just football coaches, any field or entertainer. And a lot of times I feel like it's not just being different for different sake. It's just we're doing something that works. And if, everyone's learned to do something a different way, a lot of things you learn, even in school, even like if you look at, journal, you went to school for writing. If you look at journalism, you're taught to write an article, the most important stuff at the top and the least important at the bottom. And kids are still taught that today, I would assume. And the whole reason for that was when newspapers were the only way to write something and they ran out of space, they could just cut off the bottom of the article and, and not worry about having lost anything. Well, that doesn't happen on the internet or in books or, in the many places that you can write nowadays. Yeah. So it's sort of this is how you write for a newspaper, but just, most people coming out of school today aren't going to wind up writing for newspapers.
Yeah, a majority of them won't.
Yep. I'll let you do this one. Joel, you've been doing a lot of the Joel Embiid Twitter ones. He suggested an Ebola ice bucket I don't even know. You go ahead.
Yeah. Basically, I think the point he's basically trying to make is that the ice bucket challenge is nice and all, and it's giving money to ALS, which is a terrible thing. And like ALS sucks, and no one should have ALS, and we should try to stop it from being a thing. But like,
I'm glad you're not in support of ALS.
I'm not a pro ALS guy. No,
good.
There are some out there, I assume. But I think he's just basically saying like Ebola is out there killing people right now, and people care a little bit less than like the fun ice bucket challenge, probably because it's killing people not in America.
Yeah.
And he's just like, can we do something about this? And then, he's doing it in like a tongue-in-cheek, smart-ass kind of way. He's not being like, getting super political and saying all this stuff. He's, a real short kind of tweet. He's being smart about it. And like, you can't say he's wrong because he's completely right. Ebola's getting a lot of media coverage and stuff like that, but you're not hearing about people going out of their way to help or like giving all this money and stuff like that because it's not affecting Americans in a big way. Yeah, and it's not cutesy in social media like the Ice Bucket Challenge can be.
Right. No, I totally agree, and it's a good point, and it's always good to have someone remind you that okay, there's other stuff out there, and we sometimes take things that affect us or, that are good causes to get behind and don't look at the root causes. Whether that's cancer or obesity. I mean, people always look, there's a couple of good documentaries on Netflix about sort of the medical industry, and it's all focused on solving a problem, symptoms or a problem, and not like getting to the point that people eat like shit, know? But that's a different conversation. My issue here, and it's not with Embiid or you, but like my two counters to this are, people, whenever there's something like this, it's in favor of one charity, you invariably get people to say, well, there's this problem and this problem. And yeah, we know that, but just because, not everyone can help and solve every problem that's out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if people are focusing on a problem that's actually a problem, then I think that's great. Okay, and if you want to, complain that your problem's not getting attention, that's fair. But you can't criticize people for, and not that Embiid was, but there are people who do this. Criticize people for, trying to solve one problem just because there's other problems out there. And it's the same thing. Forget who I think I had it was a Twitter conversation or someone in the comments was complaining about something, basically saying that. It was about Taney, and they said, well, all these kids are getting attention because, they're baseball players, but no one's talking about how awful their schools are. And he included me in his tweet, like Joe Sports Blogger. He's like, you should be spending more time, talking about the financial impact on schools in Philly. I'm like, I am a sports blogger, like you can't get mad at people for covering one thing just because there's a problem in the world.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think it's a good sign for Embiid's future because it seems like it's something that he probably cares a lot about and like he wanted to say something about, and he did it in like this way. Like his Twitter kind of scares me sometimes, where I think he can get himself into some real hot water in the future. But I think this shows that he's going to without a doubt. But he's kind of balancing himself out because like he could have very easily said something insane or ridiculous because it's a very serious issue, could have offended some people, but it seemed like he really knows how to, I don't know about censor himself, but to choose the right words in the right time when he's not just being goofy.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good sign for his future as a responsible adult human person on social media.
Although I think Hinkie said earlier this week, if he, some of his tweets aren't going to fly after losing like 2 of 3 on the road on a late night road trip on a Tuesday night in February.
Yeah.
And that's probably a fair point.
I like Hinkie's like on the show because like there are probably, there are tons of teams and players and stuff like that where their GMs or coaches or front office people will probably sit, a player like Embiid down and be like, listen, you haven't played yet. You're not going to play at all this year or for the first half of the year. Like tone it down.
Yeah.
And they're kind of letting him be him, which I think is good.
Yeah, and he's getting, for the most part, he's getting positive. It's the only thing Sixers related that people are actually talking about in any sort of like actual number of people discussing it. So
yeah.
It's probably not a bad thing for the Sixers. My second point was going to be people are complaining that, you're dumping water over your head and there's people who aren't donating, and I'm sure that's the case. And people are using it for publicity stunts and all that. And yeah, totally. but it is actually raising money. And the
Tons of
reason it's
money,
raising
yeah.
money is because people are doing stupid shit and people are watching and people are challenging the president and Oprah and LeBron James. So like, I don't see a problem. If someone is trying to get attention for themselves and themselves only, fine. But if them trying to get attention for themselves and just a fact of dumping water over your head means they got 500% more donations this year than last year. They actually did this last year and it just didn't catch on. Like it was, they do this. Apparently this isn't the first time, but this year it just went viral, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
So I don't see the problem with it. If it's if people can have fun and raise money, that's the whole point of having like charitable events. You get people to have fun and it raises money, and that's how it works.
I find myself getting annoyed at it just because I see it so much, but that's more because Facebook just auto plays all the videos and I don't want to see them.
Yeah, no, and thankfully,
so I'm getting annoyed at Facebook now that this is it's a good thing whether you do it or not. It's a positive thing. So at least that's in the news and not worse stuff. I mean, there's worse stuff, but,
right? And we're going on Labor Day weekend, and thankfully it's over because no one wants to see the videos anymore. But it was the people complaining about, well, this is. This isn't right is for charity. It's like, no, it's actually raising money. Like, shut up. For once, like there's a goofy internet thing that has a purpose behind it. What are you complaining about? Call Me Maybe did nothing other than have the U.S. women's swim team make an awesome video on a plane. That was the best thing that came out of Call Me Maybe.
Yeah. And if you're someone, like, for example, like Joel Embiid, if he could do this, I know he's making a bigger point, but if you want to make a nice bucket challenge video and then say you're donating to another cause and put your links to that and stuff like that, you can still do that too. You don't have, it's not like a rule.
Right. Yeah. You may not donate to this cause.
Don't do it at all. Yeah. You can do. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I agree. Can we start calling him Joel Hans Embiid? Because the fact that his middle name is Hans is
his middle name.
awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty fantastic. Once again, the all-name team.
Still there? It's Schmurda. Does he even have a middle name, or is he just making up words at this point?
I don't trust him.
Joel Schmurda. I don't know.
I'm not going to take a word he says is the truth, but hey,
next week will be Joel James Almost Embiid.
It's going to really suck if he just
Carmona
is terrible and nothing happens. But at least we'll have this time. Yeah.
Well, if he's good and he's got a sense of humor, that's what people will around here will love him.
Yeah, it'll be great.
This Michael Sam thing. I'm not gonna. This could be a forever conversation. My point was, I don't think the way this chick on ESPN covered it was the wrong way of going about it, saying, hey, have you ever showered with him? Like a gossipy schoolgirl. But
yeah.
I don't think the nature of, and Deadspin wound up writing a piece about this as well, the nature of wondering what the locker room environment is like it was the issue with a gay guy on a football team.
Yeah.
So wondering and seeing how that is going, and it seems like it's maybe not going great because they're saying, one of the guys said he doesn't invade our space. He's consciously, it sounds like, making an effort to not shower when everyone else is showering. So there is an impact. And I think Barry Petecchi, I don't know how to pronounce his name, a Deadspin, compared it to the Jackie Robinson thing. And how are people treating him in the locker room? That's a real thing. Like, is he being treated differently? And so I think it was worth mentioning, just the way she said, so-and-so told me I have, quote, not been in the shower at the same time as Michael Sam. It's kind of a weird way. Like, there's ways to talk about it without saying, did you see his peener?
Exactly. I mean, that's basically what it was, which is that there's a story there, because just purely because of what people said before he got drafted. Like, I don't know if I would draft him because of the locker room reasons. So then when he's drafted on a team, say hey, how's the locker room situation? You don't have to go has he seen you naked yet? No, that's an absurd thing.
Right.
But Chris Long tweeted the day after and said, "Dear ESPN, everyone but you is over it," which I thought was great because it's he's in there and Chris Long's going out there with his name on it saying no one cares, while ESPN's unnamed defensive player said things are a little uncomfortable. So.
Yeah, well, but that's the point. I mean, I get the sentiment he was trying to get, stop talking about it being gay, but part of this was someone said, he's trying to avoid us and showering on his own. He's not just one of the guys at that point. He is being treated differently, and there's actually a story there. Whether he views himself differently or other people are, making it uncomfortable for him, doesn't matter. That is actually part of the story. So I don't see the problem with it. I just think she covered it in a really awkward way.
Yeah, the presentation was awkward, but I think the intentions were okay.
Yeah, and it's and again, being on live TV, especially if you're on national TV like ESPN, it's not easy to do, and sometimes things just come out, and there's no taking them back. We like to have fun with things, but sometimes stuff comes out, and you just can't really take it back. Anyway. Moving on, Michael Kendrick stars in video with Rihanna lookalike. I don't even know what to say here other than he likes Rihanna, she likes him, and this chick, like, gyrating all over the place looks a heck of a lot like Rihanna.
She does, and actually, she was on...
Like a really dirty, slutty Rihanna, which is, by the way, is saying something.
My Super Sweet 16.
How did you know that? Because you wrote that. I really want to hope that you looked that up.
Look, here, I looked it up, and I'll tell you straight up, it's as easy as just, looking up her name, but I saw her face in the video. I went, she looks familiar. And that's what it was from.
Wow. It's impressive you went there, because I just went, that's Rihanna, and you went Super Sweet 16.
See, I saw the face, and, my brain just, imprints faces. I had no idea where it was from, but I'm like, oh, yeah, this looks right. But the thing that's the Rihanna thing, too, is that she's got red hair in the video. She's got black hair in the video. It's like she's trying on all the different looks of Rihanna.
Yeah.
And not being subtle about it.
No, not at all. And I mean, I don't know, Kendrick's is projecting on her or she's projecting on Kendrick. I don't really know. The video is weird, and Michael Kendrick's is a rap actor. I don't
yeah, that's the thing. It had to be hey, let's get that guy that Rihanna thought was hot. It's not like Michael Kendrick's just strolled into an audition for a...
So you think they targeted him intentionally because it was the guy Rihanna tweeted about?
At least because he's... Yeah, it has to be, right?
And throwing it in Rihanna's face. I'm better than you, and I got the guy you want.
He didn't. All right, here's how I think it happened. I don't think he just auditioned and we like you as this role, and he's like, cool. I also don't think they were let's get a football player and settled on Michael Kendrick's.
You probably could have landed someone better.
Yeah, and also, I feel like if they were being real blatant about it, they would have said, hey, in that screen grab that I used where it says his face and it says the target, it would say, linebacker Michael Kendrick's. Or he'd do one of those, the pop-up heads from Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football and saying what college you went to in the video. But it's got to be some kind of trying to be subtle.
Yeah, because they never call out that he's a football player, right?
And they could have there are people whose probably male models and low level actors whose careers are being a good looking guy in music video.
Yeah, they
didn't need to get Michael Kendrick's at all, so it's got to be a comment on that.
That's a good point. That's good analysis right there. Yeah. Moving on, Hamels. We already talked about Sandberg and everyone hating him. We'll scroll through this one. Philly's top draft picks in 2011 and 2012 are no longer considered prospects. One guy's hurt, the other guy sucks. That's awesome. Nick Foles cover here. He's wearing a shirt. You wrote that you made it seem like there were more than one person who went shirtless, and there wasn't. It was just Cap, right?
Well, shirtless, yeah, but these are the only two who are wearing their jerseys over their shoulder pads. The other ones, they're all wearing their compression shirts or whatever.
I gotcha.
And the Hard Knocks they aired right before these came out showed Matt Ryan having that photo shoot.
Okay.
And the photographer guy goes, "Hey Matt, any chance you pop that shirt off?" And he went, "Hell no. Have you seen Kaepernick? He's huge. I don't want to stand next to that."
Yeah, well, and he is huge, and so I can't blame him there either.
That you really can't.
Although, okay, so see, I'm not too worried about a jinx on the regional covers because they're guys on it. Yeah,
exactly.
Hinkie, we already talked about him. All right, the Danny Watkins thing. This is a weird, and we can kind of go through this one quickly, but a weird story. After you wrote the post about him being retired and fighting fires, someone who always tips me off on stuff said, there's a story going around that he was telling Andy Reid, and it was very much against his contract to fight fires, but he was telling Reid he was just hanging around, cleaning around firehouses when he was here, and he was actually going out on calls as not a member of the fire department.
Yeah.
Which is commendable that, it's his passion, but also, for football reasons, and you're not licensed to be a firefighter reasons, even though it's a technicality, is a little weird. I sent a thing to his publicist because figuring he's retired, maybe he could put me in touch. That person never got back to me. And then an hour later, Jesus Christ, I get something. I get these pictures in my inbox that are basically, here are these pictures from a totally different person. And it's Danny Watkins leaving a 4-alarm fire in the middle of an Eagles season, actually right after his last game here because he didn't play the final 2 weeks, carrying an oxygen tank and a giant saw. There's got to be a word for that other than saw because that thing is gigantic.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, this guy sucked. Like, I'm glad he likes fighting fires, but my God, like,
yeah.
You were a top draft pick in football and being paid to do so, and you're running into burning buildings. The guy who sent it to me,
if that's what you prefer to do, then God bless you.
Yeah. And the guy who sent it to me is a former firefighter, so he's like, I love, this is a passion for us, and I couldn't imagine having not done this. But at the same time, the guy's like, I'm an Eagles fan, and I am pissed that any of us would give in our right leg to be a football player instead of a firefighter.
Yeah.
Like, just go do that. We got the fires. Don't get hurt.
It's also got to, he has to have broken some rules there, obviously, in his contract or whatever, because.
Oh, absolutely.
People have gotten injured walking down the sidewalk and missed, professional athletes. I remember Luke Longley, the center for the Bulls.
Okay.
He missed a good chunk of time because he separated his shoulder while he was like body surfing.
Yeah. No.
So they're not going to let you run into a burning building.
Absolutely not. You can't ski, get on a motorcycle. This might even be so much common sense that it's not even in a contract. You may not go fight 4-alarm fires during your bye
it's
week.
in those vague Charlie Sheen contract terms. Like anything you do that looks bad counts.
Yeah. Anything where you might be genuinely risking your life for the benefit of others will void your contract.
Yeah.
And that's slippery for him because, who knows, like if this was baseball and they owed him money or something, this photo says, no, you're not getting it.
Yeah, exactly.
He did have injury problems that year and it was supposedly a chronic ankle thing. Maybe he turned it coming out of a building. That's
constantly running up firebound steps. Yeah.
Chris Therien to TV, him and Coatsy are basically switching roles. Had this months ago. What do you think? Do you like Therien?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a problem with their broadcasts at all, as much as I do with the Phillies. I think their broadcasts are flawed in many ways. I think the Flyers TV broadcasts are perfectly fine. I'm not a diehard hockey guy in general, so maybe if I was, I would have a different opinion. But
yeah, I agree. I think the Flyers broadcast has always been a good, not great. There's nothing. It gets out of the way. Like you watch a Flyers game, Jim Jackson's solid. Like everything about it's always been solid. I think Coatsy was just a little played out. Terrian's been great on the radio. He's had some great rants. He brings some personality. If he can keep that's got to be tough between the glass because he's calling Crosby a punk. It's a lot easier to do that from up high than when he's literally sitting right next to you.
I mean, you can probably still call Crosby a punk. Maybe
probably. And they're not. It's not like they could hear you, but there's a mental thing there when someone's actually
absolutely
in proximity to you. If he can keep that passion down there, I think he's going to be great for TV.
Yeah, it'd be really cool.
Let's see. The Ice Girls. Love this pic. This is still one of my all-time favorite screenshots. They are no more, and the reasoning this is not officially been confirmed, but they are no more. And this girl, Erica Choi Smith, actually wound up reaching out to me and saying that she had called her supervisor asking about this year, and she said, "We're going away from Ice Girls. We want to get a different in-game entertainment, basically people with clothes." Which is unfortunate because if the NHL insists on wiping, cleaning the ice every 5 minutes, then you should have people in the least possible clothing doing it. But because these one of the girls complained, and one of the girls who used to be an Ice Girl called that complainer a twat on Facebook the other day. People in San Jose were complaining because the Ice Girls had uniforms that were skimpy, which, by the way, I'm pulling them up here in the video. I know you can't see this. These were the uniforms. Now, compare those to the Flyers uniforms, and it's night and day. I mean, the Flyers had 60% less material, so I can't imagine the reaction this would have got in San Jose area, but they're gone. Do you have a thought on this? I know you're not the biggest hockey guy, so.
I mean, I think it just shows kind of what some of those complaints from the Ice Girls were, that they don't care about us, and it's almost it's probably not how it went down, but it kind of looks like that they were like, oh, you don't think we care about you? Well, then you're just all gone then.
Yeah. Well,
and it's like, oh, well, you're proving your point. It's like, yeah, we don't care. You're done. It's too much hassle now.
And from the sounds of it, it wasn't just that one girl. Like, there was a lot of complaining, and eventually they're like, we don't want to deal with this. One of them sued the team for some of those reasons a couple of years ago, I guess. And, the other people complain, and maybe the Flyers. Comcast is basically running the Flyers now. Like, Snyder and Luco, Snyder's sick and old and whatever. Luco is not there. This team is no longer being run by like that group of. It was always Comcast Spectacor, but now Comcast, like corporate, is running Comcast Spectacor, and they're getting rid of. They're cutting costs where they can, and they're getting rid of liabilities like scantily clad girls, which is absurd because every football team has cheerlead. I mean, there's no difference, and these people are actually serving a function other than dancing.
It honestly seems like
I'm angry.
They looked at it like, we're not paying them that much. They're not bringing any money in. If they're going to cause problems, we're going to shut the whole thing down.
Yeah. This guy is disappointed, though. He is absolutely disappointed today, still, 3 days later. The Michael Vick, Riley Cooper thing, and this was smoothed over, not surprisingly, but Vick took the fact that Riley Cooper didn't respond to his congratulations text and got all pissed and told ESPN that I'm not the type of guy who holds grudges.
While holding a grudge.
Unfortunately, it was going to derail Riley's career. Would have ended it. I came out and spoke against him. But he's complaining that I'd have you on speed dial. I don't even know. I'm so weirded out by this. But he's basically saying Riley Cooper didn't text me back, and I hate him now.
Yeah. Look, if I was Vic...
What kind of, first of all, I put my phone... I am just a lazy asshole.
Yeah.
And, I mean, some of these are from my mom, my wife, random people, people, that I doing business with or whatever. I'm just lazy, okay? I can't imagine being a professional athlete and when you signed a $25 million contract after you were a national story 8 months earlier, like Riley Cooper was. How many texts you must get? Like, he probably didn't feel the need to respond. I can't even believe we're talking about this.
Yeah. Look, I get it from Vic's standpoint, being a little like, I don't even know if pissed, because I wouldn't be pissed. I'd be like a little ticked off, like I stood up for that dude. I feel like I more or less saved his career. And like he can't even like hit me back, but I wouldn't talk to a reporter about it,
right?
Because it makes Vic look bad.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you look like a weirdo.
Like you're sitting there by your phone at night, staring like, why isn't Riley texting me back yet?
Now to that point, I don't know if I'm Riley Cooper in this situation and I get a text from someone who's even remotely, I might even really tan. I am responding to that thing immediately and in the most gracious and positive way possible.
Yeah, if Mike Vick, if his version of the story is the truth, and he stood up and basically like saved Riley Cooper,
and he did, he came out
on the team.
Some of it's on camera.
Yeah. Then I would, as Riley Cooper, I'd like text him like a thanks thing like once a week.
Yeah,
be like,
I'd send him a stipend.
Yeah,
like a little commission. But yeah, no, I mean emoticons abound. If I'm Riley Cooper and a black person texts me, they get emoticons, happy ones. Happy one, not like the middle finger. Please, God, no.
No.
Anyway, moving on. Chip Kelly, the way he cuts players. I love this story. You wrote this, but talk real quick. Like summarize how he cuts players, because I think this is awesome.
I mean, I think if anything, the dawn of Hard Knocks and how much it gets watched on HBO has made people really kind of, because as an Eagles fan, you want them to cut the people who aren't good enough to make the team. You don't care who. It's like if you're not good enough, you're cut.
Alex Henry.
Yes.
Yeah.
But maybe not Henry now because, he's, these guys who are like, rookies who are struggling, who really want to make the team. When you watch them on Hard Knocks and there's so much, them getting the phone calls like, hey, can you come to the office? Don't forget to bring your playbook. Like you feel for the guys.
Yeah.
And you're like, they're probably just lighting it up on another team or a practice squad price to make a ton of money. But, you're watching these guys basically get like the worst news of their careers up to that point. And a lot of the times you watch the shows and it's like a real formulaic thing, or like they only meet with like their positional coach and then like they just like have a 2-minute sit down with the head coach or whatever. So hearing that Chip does it in this whole, he wants everybody to talk to these guys. He wants them to know that they're there to help them out if they want to get back, to give them like a great recommendation from the team. I think it's just, it's great. And the whole, Chip Kelly does things his own way, and he doesn't care what people think. It just shows you, like, he's probably like a really good dude, and it's always good to kind of feel that way about the people who are in charge of your sports teams.
Yeah,
that he like cares about the players, even the players that, you know, he might not know that well, that only the positional coaches might really know that well, that aren't going to make the team. He's still there to help them out, and I think that's, you know, it's just a great way to, a great thing to know about your team.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think you know, I mean, following up on the Vic thing, where you rooted for that guy despite realizing that he seems like a pretty terrible person to do what he did.
Yeah,
it's nice to hear someone's like genuinely sounds like a good dude. I'm going to read the quote from Kelly because I thought it was really good. Obviously, every guy that's here that's part of a 90-man roster, their lifelong dream is to be an NFL player. To be the one to have to tell them that it's not going to happen here is difficult, and it's something that is inevitable. You have to go from 90 to 75 and 75, 73. It's part of the job, but it's not a fun part of the job. We make sure that every player meets with me, every player meets with his position coach, every player meets with a coordinator on their side of the ball. You try to be as human as you can with it, but it's always a difficult time when someone's goal is to play in this league. I think that's a great quote. And then after that, was a whole bunch of players, and even after that said he genuinely wants to help you make another team.
Yeah.
And views part of the process as some of these guys aren't going to make our team, but while they're here, we're going to help them. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, like I said, you want the players to their best to be on the team, and you want the players that aren't the best to not be on the team. But it's good to know that your coach is still seeing them. He's like, listen, they're not good enough. They got to get cut. But he still feels like, you know, they're human people. This is their goal. It sucks to have to like crush their dreams. But I want to, you know, I want them to know that like we can help them out in any way we possibly can.
Yeah. Taney. Nick Foles surprising people. Do you think this is real?
I just don't even know anymore with some of the stuff. It's so hard to tell. I don't think Foles is that great of an actor for it to be
no,
for it to be like completely fake. It might not be as real as it's presented.
Well, it seems like these people won a contest for Courtyard and got to show up, and they were told they were going to be doing press photos. So they knew it was part of a sponsor thing, and they won a contest. So they probably weren't that shocked that an NFL player was there. I mean, because you can see it's got NFL. Like, clearly, they weren't just regular guys there. Like, this was some sponsored thing that was happening.
Yeah.
So, you know, the fact that he was there isn't crazy. But when the one guy yells, dude, Nick Foles sucked, and everyone laughs, like, haha, yeah. Like, that felt a little bit fake.
Yeah.
Or, like, a little bit edited to once they already knew Foles was there. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. Media rumblings. Colleen Wolfe. This is a pretty big deal. She, for her, I mean, she's headed from Fox 29 to be the lead female anchor on NFL Now, which is the NFL's mobile online app. It's on Apple TV, iOS, Android. And she's going to be the lead female anchor, and it's based out of L.A., and so I guess she will be going there. And as for now, Gonzo, who's her husband, is here.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good deal for her.
I think it's a good deal for NFL Now is what they're streaming stuff too, because it shows that they're like, you know, trying to at least make an attempt to put out a really cool product. So I think that's cool.
Well, and there's a lot of weight behind this thing, and I'm not so sure this is ever really going to work until they have live games. And I'm sure they'd like to, but there's I mean, this is a whole different conversation. There's so much wrapped up in that, and network dollars and DirecTV dollars, and you know, this Now thing is cool. It's great if if you play fantasy, you get instant highlights and stuff like that. But I think it's really going, and you can get, if you pay, you get access to the NFL Films Vault. But films, but I think this will actually be a huge thing if they're somehow able to get the DirecTV Sunday Game Plan on as part of this.
Yeah, because I mean, otherwise it's like half of a product.
Yeah, sort of like WWE Network, but at least they have the pay-per-views, whereas this doesn't have any live games.
And at least, I think the WWE Network too is the live stuff supposed to be coming down the line at some point.
Yeah,
or something along those. I don't know. My brother subscribes. I don't know.
Well, I think they have the pay-per-views, but anyway.
Yeah. I know they have the pay-per-views, but I mean, like the Monday Night Raw and all that junk for people who don't have cable or whatever.
Okay. And Keith Russell, who I didn't realize he wasn't even with 6ABC. He was in DC for a little while. He's the really happy guy.
Yeah.
He was on 6ABC. He's taking over for her. And And I threw this in. I am going to be contributing to the Fox's morning weekend show this fall via Skype. So I'm not going to have to leave my house nor put on pants, which is just awesome.
It's the same deal as now.
I'm going to actually be doing the exact same thing I'm doing now.
There you go.
Is sitting in the exact same spot. The Flyers third jersey, Dave Isaac, this is Dave Isaac, who cites that Terrian report that was whispered was actually not whispered. It was posted on Crossing Broad 2 months ago. And this is how he cites that sort of thing. Says it's been whispered for a while because he's a jackass. He noticed that some of the Flyers were wearing the 2012 Winter Classic jerseys, and I think we've already talked about it. Those are probably going to be the third jerseys, not these ugly 95 things here.
Yeah, those things are terrible.
Yeah. Comcast Time Warner, we already talked about that. Taney, you went to the parade, but before we lose people who complain that children that hate life and complain children shouldn't have had a parade. I think they definitely should have been honored. I think the Love Park, the Phillies game, I do think a parade down a major thoroughfare on a weekday in a major city is, it's costing money. I do think they should have been honored. I'm torn on the parade. You thought it was a good idea.
I thought it was a fun idea. I mean, being there, I'm not sure what the financials of it, what it cost. They did just reuse floats, as you could tell. The traffic.
I thought they were like sea lions and sea dragons.
No, it's just like a straight undersea world float, and then a Statue of Liberty float, and then like a Delta Queen team float, and then
what was that from?
Tour buses.
Was that just from the 683 Boscov's Turkey Day, Turducken Thanksgiving Day parade?
Have to where do they keep them? Where is the parade float warehouse?
Got to be a Mummers warehouse. It's got to be a Mummers warehouse.
But are those the Mummers floats though?
That looks like a Mummers float right there.
It does. The Statue of Liberty one doesn't so much, but the front one definitely did.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it wasn't really that bad. Traffic stoppages. They only stopped where the things were. So, they stopped in front of the Kimmel Center. They stopped at Broad and Washington.
Okay.
And then in between that, like you just had to sit there and wait. I crossed
they had to shut
the
down
street
Broad.
Where they were, yeah, but you had to go around it, which is really not that huge.
You had to cross over it.
Yeah, a few times I crossed in front
Broad?
of. Yeah, I crossed Broad.
Okay, thanks.
Everything was. It's the thing too, because it was in the right lane, so everything was on the right side. So like, there was nobody on the left side of the street. Looking south. No one on so it would be the east side of the street. So like all the players and all this stuff, they were all looking at the one side. So if you were walking and you wanted to cut through too, you just went to the other side of the street and it was totally fine.
Okay.
There was a big crowd, outside the Kimmel Center where they stopped and they had some of the Philly Pops play, Take Me Out to the Ball Game and stuff like that. And then between there and Broad and Washington, there was there was a lull because, people aren't out from like their lunch breaks. There's a lot of less offices. And then they were supposed to stop again at Broad and Washington. So the speed of the parade picked up a little bit, like they didn't stop. So traffic could go through. It took me a while to catch back up with them because it was hot and I was walking kind of slow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think it was that big of a hindrance to a lot of people. It was a cool thing. There was a really big crowd outside of the Kimmel Center. People were cheering. People who were cutting through the crowd did not seem annoyed. Everyone seemed to be in like a good spirit about it. I think it was a good thing.
Was Zion Spearman as big as he looked on TV?
I'll be completely honest with you. It's so hard to tell with them being on floats.
Yeah.
Because Eric Lipson was signing autographs. He's a tiny little kid. He looked like a big kid to me. Because he's on a float and he's standing up and then you're raised up again.
Carl Ravage and Barry Larkin and Nomar were just I don't want to use that word, but they were being very positive about him. They made that kid famous.
Oh yeah, I mean
the Lipper.
Yeah, I mean that kid. Like, man, if I was that age and I was in that kind of situation, I would shut down. I'd be so quiet. I'd be so nervous. And he just loved the limelight.
Yeah, he didn't
sign a lot of autographs.
Well, and Monet, I mean, John Oliver said last week, he opened the show talking about her, and he said, she is so self-confident. She's more self-confident than me, and I have a TV show.
Yeah, I mean, it's, it's, maybe I'm being an apologist for them because I really did get wrapped up in it and stuff like that, but it's more than just like, a Little League baseball team. Like they were, she covered Sports Illustrated. They were leading off the top of Sports Center.
Yeah. And,
things were written in national magazines about them.
Right. And most of that was because of her. But the fact is, they were still, this was still a She was on. Yeah, you're right. She was when you wrote that line. I was reading it. She was on the cover of Sports Illustrated and called a national treasure and wound up on the Today Show. Like, yeah, I mean, those are like not little. That is, it's wild that 2 weeks ago no one knew who this person on Earth was.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks later, she's on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm with you there. Why not?
Plus, I mean, they're homegrown. I always have a soft spot for
actual Philly people.
Actually, actors, musicians, anybody who's actually from Philadelphia. Like, I automatically like them a little bit more. Yeah. So I think they're homegrown. So it's a good thing.
Let's burn through the final page quickly. The Sixers buy the insane pregame technology used by the Cavs, and I think the Heat use it as well. This is cool.
Their playoffs. It's the coolest thing. I don't understand how it works, but it is so insanely cool.
I've watched the beginning of this, and I'm playing it now, where the logo and the paint pop up.
Yeah.
And then the light. And okay, you get that it's lights, obviously, but then the lights just goes to a full light, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, am I looking at the actual red paint and logo, or is that being superimposed on top of it, like directly on top? You're right, it's magic. Magic is the only thing I can decide on.
They're showing highlights, but like only in the paint, and it's so insane. I can't wrap my head around that at all.
No, but I'm telling you, watch the beginning where the logos come up, and then you're like, okay, that's obviously an image, but then the lights stay on, and you're like, wait a minute, so is this all an image, or are the lights on now, and is this the floor? Like,
are they still projecting the floor onto the floor?
At what point did it stop projecting and just become the floor? Like, how? Do that again, please.
Yeah, exactly. It's phenomenal.
Adam Aaron would have loved this. Shame they couldn't have got it for him. He loves showmanship.
Yeah.
Did you see what did you think of my dad's draft notes?
I would never have the patience to do that.
We've been playing fantasy forever, and he's not like incapable. He uses a computer. He FaceTime me in for the draft, but he sends me, I don't know how many names are. It's got to be 150 total names, handwritten, hand ranked, scanned at his office, auto forwarded by the scanner, and sent as a PDF. And he's like, "Do you have a printer? You can print these out." I was like, "Dad, I got this. I got this."
I mean, I know from, my own thing, if I was to write the stuff down, it like automatically clicks in my brain.
Yeah.
So I know it.
Yeah, that's
so, but I could never sit down and do that.
The funny thing is, during the draft, I did have my app, but I actually I had the PDF on one of the screens, and I was referring to it against the app, his rankings against what I was shown, and the joke might not be on him.
Yeah.
It worked. I mean, we got an A-. Yahoo picked us to win our league, which is pretty crazy. I thought they just gave everyone an A-, and they gave like half our league C's. So
I'm sure I'll get that next week.
Yeah. When's your draft next week?
My draft's on Sunday.
Okay. Good luck. Are you ready?
No.
Okay. I wasn't either. I had 20 minutes. I'm telling you, get that app, that Football Guys Dominator app.
I might have to. Yeah, my last few seasons have not been great.
Tremendous $5 spend, and you can go in beforehand. You can go in beforehand, and you can put your league, how many players, the format, the scoring, and then it will re-rank all the players based on your league format. And as the draft goes along, you can input the picks, who took who you got in order. So it will then recommend people based on looking at other rosters and the players that are available and what players might still be, like if everyone already has a quarterback, it will actually devalue quarterbacks on the fly for you.
See, that's what I need, man, because we're a 12-team PPR, but passing touchdowns are worth 6.
Yeah, okay, that's how ours is.
That's like the 1 point change we have from most leagues. So,
and that's how ours is, and the quarterbacks actually went a little bit higher. So like people are saying we reached for Foles, and we kind of did, but he's actually higher than he would be in a 4-point league because he's maybe not a huge yardage guy, but you figure he's going to throw. There's going to be a lot of touchdown passes to tight ends. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's a great app.
I mean, think about it. Someone like Peyton Manning throws 40 touchdowns. That's an extra 80 points.
Yes, yeah. It's real. It's a real difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really cool app. You just got to be keeping up with the draft to get the maximum out of it because it's constantly reshuffling and recommending based on what you need. It's good.
I'll look into that.
Dave, I liked your commentary here. Maybe he'll give We Wish Amaro a nice forced vacation.
If only it had happened before the deadline, I feel like something might have, I legitimately feel like Pat Gillick would have come in and sat and watched Ruben and be like, "You're doing this wrong."
Yeah. And I mean, the whole reason for this, I mean, it kind of sucks. Montgomery had jaw cancer.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Jaw cancer surgery, and it's going kind of. It's been reported once, and then no one's talked about it, and then now you find out he's taking a leave. That doesn't sound good. I mean, he's not a guy.
No, yeah, because they supposedly that everything was going well and it was all right, and he was doing interviews and stuff like that. So wish him all the best.
Yeah, and Rube the worst.
Yes.
Alex Henry, his career is it's over. I don't know. There's no way. By the time people listen to this, we were probably already going to know. Parkey looked good last night.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's great, but he's better than Alex Henry is just a head case at this point. He seems like.
Yeah, that's not the way they go about it.
No one has any confidence in him.
No.
Phillies Twitter account. Here's another ad on the Phillies Twitter account. I don't know. I'm losing steam. I'm fading. All right. Good stuff. We're gonna do this again next week, I assume. Off sort of Monday. Maybe we'll post some stuff over the weekend. But yeah, man. Enjoy your weekend. And then next week we get back to like real, actual sports. Flyers are coming into town. The football's just going to be a few days away.
Maybe I'll write down my fantasy football rankings, and then I'll post it. It'll just be red marker everywhere, and it'll be torn to shreds.
Can you write them on like parchment?
We'll see. It's going to be terrible.
All right. Good stuff.
All right.
And this final one. Click on Crossing Broad tickets. They buy tickets. Seriously, they're like we always advertise this, but this is I bought 2 Eagles games off our own thing. It's really good because it just rounds up best tickets. They're often not available on StubHub because more people are buying. There's more competition. You can usually get pretty good prices on some of the networks that this thing rounds up in. It's all safe. We just get a small cut for referring to sale. So do check that out. That's our plug. Anything else?